Hey, private practice dentists. In this episode, we're going to be interviewing a dentist that is a world-renowned dental educator. He's been practicing dentistry for over 40 years. Now in the legacy building phase of his career, he's mentoring experienced and new dentists, helping them enhance their skills. Stay tuned for some tips that will help to improve your practice.
Welcome to Dental Business Excellence, the podcast dedicated to inspiring dentists to achieve optimal growth and success in their practices. Here, top dental experts will share their insights to bring the latest technology, tools, marketing techniques, practice management strategies, and business solutions that will help increase your bottom line. Here are your hosts, owner of AMP Dental SEO, Adrian Baines, and CEO of White & Associates Practice Consulting, Christian White.
Welcome to Dental Business Excellence. I'm Adrian Baines, along with my co-host, Christian White. Thanks for joining us. On today's show, we're honored to be joined by an amazing guest. He's recognized as one of the top 100 dentists contributing to dental education by dentistry today. He's also an internationally renowned educator that's taught around the world and has published over 50 articles. He's been practicing dentistry for over 40 years. Let's welcome Dr. Frank Milner to the show.
Thank you, Adrian. Thank you, Adrian. Thank you, Christian. A pleasure to be with you.
We're honored to have you, Frank. Thank you for joining us.
Thank you for taking the time out of your very productive schedule to be with us today. This is going to be a great podcast, and the information you're going to share is really going to make an impact on all the other dentists who are going to listen to this. So again, thank you very much.
My pleasure.
Great. So let's get things started off because I am excited. All right, Dr. Frank. Why don't you, for our viewers, maybe give us a little bit of your background and then maybe get into the reason you wanted to be a dentist in the first place.
Okay, my background is a different background. All through undergraduate school and dental school every summer, I worked on heavy construction. I was around pile drivers, concrete. I actually became a tower crane operator in the last summer, not knowing if I was going to get into dental school. So I have a unique background in engineering and construction. Fortunately for me, I had a chance to start applying that in recent years when people were really talking about the engineering and the techniques that go with it. Otherwise, I was limited because I could only talk about dentistry. And in dentistry, nobody mentions engineering. So I'm in the sweet spot right now. And why did I do this? Well, fortunately, I got into dental school, and I never forgot the artisan principles that drove me for 8 years and saw bricklaying. I saw everything electrical. I saw sheetrocking, taping, spraying. I saw everything, iron bar, rebars and everything. And it all makes sense to me. I just make it into a micro environment and relate it to dentistry.
So, Frank, you could call yourself a dental artist.
Well, I really, for the audience sake, I don't think I'm a dentist anymore. I more am an artisan, and you go through different stages of your artisan principles, whether it's, first of all, you're an apprentice, then maybe you're a journeyman, and then you become a master. And a master is, you know how things work, and you can take things that don't make sense and make sense out of it.
That's awesome. Thanks for sharing the background and how you kind of got into your career. You know, something that I think about with success is that, and I think we all agree on this, is that you need mentors and coaches in your life. So with that in mind, tell us, what is a clinical mentor, and how can your mentoring program help dentists to develop their skills and increase their production?
Interesting question. I didn't know what a mentor was until I graduated from dental school, and I went to the VA hospital where the head of the residency program was the prosthodontist, and he took me under his wing, introduced me to clinical staff at the University of Minnesota School of Dentistry, and I saw people care about me as a very young dentist, and they mentored me. And that stayed with me for a long time. is somebody willing to spend time and develop talent. And it's interesting because it's very humbling when you're around people that are at a much higher level and they don't look down at you. They encourage you to become much more than you are right now. And a couple quotes come to mind I think is really appropriate right now by Bob Proctor. A mentor is someone who sees more talent and ability within you than you see in yourself and helps bring it out of you. And the other one was by John Maxwell. One of the greatest values of mentors is the ability to see ahead what others cannot see and to help them navigate a course to their destination. As a mentor, I encourage people to grow. I encourage people to learn. I encourage people to fail and learn from the failures and rise up above it, because there's no greater journey than the journey to give back to people, to a marvelous profession that has done amazing things for me. I'm very humbled by all this.
That's great. Yeah. And Bob, I'm glad you mentioned that quote by Bob Proctor. He was a great man. He passed away recently, but his legacy will, live on forever, and I really admire and I'm excited about your contribution and the legacy that you're building in dentistry.
Well, the second part to your question is, how does this relate to profitability? Well, you can't run a business until you're profitable. Otherwise, you're a nonprofit. And with 45 years as dental experience and really keyed in and dovetailed into dental manufacturers and see the pivot points of dentistry and the future, the trends of dentistry, I provide an abundance of ideas for the dentists out there that may not have a chance to see the new products, the new trend lines, the healthier products, the more engineered products, and how to use dental products and how to purchase dental products at affordable prices and how to reduce the cost of preventing buying too much inventory. And the bottom line is it improves the patient's lives. It gives it's credence to the practitioners and to the team. The team is so important today that for mentoring, it's not just the dentist showing you how to make a better tooth, it's how to make a better team, including the staff. This is the entire team, and this has taken on a brand new meaning today post-COVID, because with the staffing shortage, you can't afford to lose a team member. With mentoring, I can show the dental office and the dental team for new techniques to save time, to be more profitable, to be more efficient, and to add more enjoyment into your work and reduce the stress for the entire team. That seems to be the winning strategy today.
All right. Yeah, that sounds great. Yeah, something that I read, and you guys both can chime in on this because I'm not a dentist, right? But I read this in dental economics recently, and it just talked about how if you could just shave 10 minutes off of a procedure, how that, snowballs and helps you become that much more efficient and profitable.
I can take a dental student or somebody emerging just out of dental school that might be going into corporate dentistry or private practice. Obviously, their production per hour is going to be very modest. And by watching them and how their hands move, how they transfer instruments with their dental auxiliary, it's realistic to believe I can take somebody from $375 an hour and get them to the $600, and with advanced training, get them to $700 plus. It's it's a system of efficiency that with mentoring, I can make things work really good. Whether you're a dental student just coming out and you don't know where you're going into private practice, if you're going to go into corporate dentistry, public health, even a dental residency program, or if you're a dentist in a large corporation and you have aspirations to become into the private sector, well, you do need to be mentored up, because now you're meeting with the lay public that can go on social media and make reviews on you. And that's your turf, Adrian. And even experienced dentists out there that are maybe they're not as up on the trend lines and they want to improve their skills, get into new techniques, procedures, and things to update their practice for profitability and teamwork. Mentoring is probably the only thing you can do besides practice management and social media. So I think the three of us have a trifecta here.
Mhm.
Yeah, I agree.
Frank, tell me this. So if I'm a dentist and I don't have the best relationship with my dental assistant, how can you come in and help that relationship flourish? What can you do? Maybe, teach me in terms of maybe some communication things or some areas where I'm missing the mark, because as I trip through the tulips of dentistry and I go in different offices, I mean, I'm exposed to a lot, and there's a lot of relationships out there that are not in good shape right now.
It's an interesting question. If I was a golf coach, I would take you out to the range and just videotape your golf swing. And then your assistant, I would videotape her golf swing, and I'd find out, okay, what are the mechanics that are driving this? And if I want you to become more confident and competent in what you do, I would have to observe instrument transfer. How many times do you transfer things and simplify the whole thing? Because if you're not in sync with your dental assistant, mine is an ace. We've been together for 32 years. We know efficiency. The patients understand efficiency. If you're not in sync, the patients know it.
Mm-hmm.
And if you're running down the hall to get an instrument or a new burr, and it doesn't look good. So once I evaluate the team in action, then I can break it down into pieces, and then I can make recommendations for a different kind of system, because we're going to get to systems. That's the most important thing that drives productivity, which drives profit, which drives leadership, which drives office morale. Then I can reduce the number of times they touch things. I can tell them how to do multiple units with less steps, less product, which means less inventory, which means reduce your fixed costs, Christian.
Mm-hmm.
And that becomes a better model to work with. It's very doable, unless there's just some incongruent things that just aren't working. But for the most time, I find an opportunity to work with the dentist to educate the auxiliary to be on the same platform, not a different level above or below, but as a partner. And that's essential for a successful team.
Amen. Partnership is key.
Yep.
The doctor and the assistant need to be in sync, almost as one.
Yes, they do.
In front of the patient. And you said this, and if they're not, the patients know it, and they know it instantly.
They sense it, and they sense egos, they sense everything, they sense value, they sense proficiency, but it all comes to communication skills, not only from the doc, but it comes from the auxiliary, because the auxiliary has to know everything the doctor knows, because then when the dentist is not in the room, then they can talk to the auxiliary and they know the same thing the dentist does. It's truly magic.
Yes, it is.
Good stuff. So Frank, tell me, the economy is kind of shaky right now. And there's other things going on in the world. This isn't a political show, right? But what are the major factors and trends that are affecting the private practice dentist bottom line right now?
Very interesting. At no time in 45 years have I seen a slope going upward from the lower left to the upper right is fascinating and challenging as today. Back years ago and decades ago, is that we could be on the trend line and go up a little bit and stay level, and everybody was okay, but it's not okay anymore. I refer to the systems once more before I go to the true trends that I see. because systems control production, systems create efficiency, systems train the team, systems guide every team member to their highest potential. Systems decrease stuff. Now, if you want to know what the trend lines are, okay, I got to be brief because there's a whole bunch of them. Number one is the dentists are now responsible for the oral systemic connection, that we have to be endocrinologists of the mouth into bacterial studies and find out which bacteria are present, because the same bacteria that is in the medical community in wound management are the same ones in the periodontal pocket. Now we have to control the pH of the saliva. We have to really quarantine the bad bacteria because they're in the whole body, and we are responsible for this. If you look at other trend lines, people are living longer, and if you look at the baby boomers such as myself, the population that's increasing are going to be the 70-year-olds, 80-year-olds, 90-year-olds, and 100-year-olds. So you better know how to treatment plan people so they can get another 20, 30 years out of their dental work at age 60, 70 years old. This takes some skill to know the dental materials. This takes skill to know how to use them properly and how not to take the tooth apart in a serial way, redo odontics, which eventually leads to implants. So we want to prevent that. So the life expectancy is increasing. Artificial intelligence is here. And Christian knows this, is that we have to be really, with keen eye, be on the lookout for artificial intelligence, how we can pay in the office in multiple stations, not just at the front desk. Adrian, you know this, people are staying connected, especially the millennials, is that the social media will be a big part of their lives, and they go on reviews. Are you in my insurance network? Number one. Are you close to where I live? Number two. What are the reviews look like? So we have to be really attuned to what's driving patients at different age levels. There's different triggers. Maybe a 7-year-old is not going to leave you a review, but they sure as heck are going to tell their other friends if you don't cause sensitivity issues, and finally you need a root canal on a brand new crown. They're not happy about that. There's so many trends to go. I can hardly keep up, but I'm excited at the same time.
So with the cost of everything increasing, like you could talk about how that's impacting dentists. I'd love to hear about that.
Okay, everything is hinging on overhead right now. Overheads are increasing. Dental reimbursements are flat or decreasing. Now with your fixed overhead, including staffing, which will probably increase 5 to 7% or more per year, now you have to be a better business owner. So better dentistry is better business, or the other way around, better business equals better dentistry. You have to control everything. With mentoring, you can save money on products. With mentoring, you can train efficiency in your staff to be more productive with the dentist. To me, that's a win-win situation.
Frank, I think something that's really interesting right now is this little piece. I think most dentists haven't figured this out, but they're in the experience business. They're not in the tooth business. And that's kind of a powerful statement. And I think with everything that you've said, with the mentoring that you do, you are modifying or tweaking the experience that the dentist is having, and which then increases his or her results. But then I also feel that everybody who comes in contact with the doctor also feels that. So it's kind of a win-win all the way around, especially for the patient. But it's an experience that I think you're working on. It's not just tooth dust.
It's not tooth dust. It's an immersion. And I've always been a people person, and I've refined my skills, but my team comes first at all given times. I want my team to be thanked before I do. I don't need any thanks. It's my team. They're an extension of me. And if they're excited, if they're happy, if they're laughing, if they're knowledgeable, they can educate anybody when I'm not in their presence. But this is the best time to educate your team. You can't overtrain them. You can't overeducate them. Now's the time, because you can't afford to lose a staff member. It's going to cost you dearly to try to find somebody, and then you have to have a signing bonus, and you don't know what you're getting. You hang on to what you got. And the saying back in your dad's era is give the patient 5-star service. Now you give your staff 5-star service. You can't afford to lose them.
No, you can't.
Yeah,
That's
for sure.
It's really, really important. I mean, the dental practices, that I'm visiting, some of the offices, dentists, they're minus a team member, and you know what? I mean, they're not going to find that person, or at least not right away. They're not. It kind of affects everything.
Now, what if you're trying to expand your enterprise and open up another office? Now, this opens up a brand new dimension, because how are you going to find enough staff to do that? Where are they coming from? You better invest really, really the quality of leadership, the quality of education, the quality of the experience with the patients. It's in a system, Christian. You know this, I know this. It's all based on systems, and you can't afford not to have that. You can't.
No, not right now. You're right. That was a great piece, Frank. Thank you. So Frank, let me take a little bit of a left turn for a second. You mentioned something early on in the podcast about working with the younger dentists. Now, you and I have a lot of experience in this area, but it's something where these younger dentists are coming out of school. And when I'm talking about younger dentists, either coming out of school or have been practicing for probably less than 5 years. I call them kids sometimes too.
Yeah.
But they're coming out of school and they're just wide-eyed. Where's the first tooth I get to work on? But there's so much that they don't know. So maybe talk about some of the tips that you can give them to help them have success. Maybe immediately, rather than waiting years and years and years. And struggling through mistakes.
Good question, Christian. Next week I go to Chicago. I am training young dentists for a corporate office that owns 32 practices. And to me, that's a huge challenge, because I don't want to be way over them so they don't absorb anything, get intimidated. But I will say this: it's not what I can tell them what to do. I sure as heck can tell them what not to do. Okay. And the first thing I'm going to tell them is, don't be too preoccupied with that material you're touching, or these instruments, or these photos before and after, these website photos. Get to know the patient so they trust you. They need to have that sixth sense of, I can work with this person. This person is trustworthy. This person is competent. Go slow. And once you understand that the people that you serve, those patients are amazing people with different stories. They come from all walks of life. That's the greatest opportunity to understand humanity. And then you put a second layer of teamwork in there. I tell you, dentistry is fascinating with who you work on and who you work around with. The other skills can be taught, and that's what continuing education is all about.
Frank, I think it's kind of exciting that you're going to Chicago, but I think you should take Adrian with you.
I'd love to roll on. That'd be awesome.
See, here's the reason why: because everything you have said is right on. A lot of the dentists, they know a little bit when they come out of school, but they need to know a lot more, and that's where you've come in and really made a huge impact, both professionally and emotionally, with them. And I think, Adrian, you could come in and teach them about the marketing side, because on the whole online piece in developing trust is almost just as important nowadays.
Absolutely. It sure is. Yeah. We'll get into that another time, but it is a critical piece to bringing in new patients. So Frank, you've been in practice for 45 years, over 45 years. What's been your blueprint for success?
My blueprint for success was based on my mentors. My clinical skills were average. I admit it. But my mentors, when I decided to make a huge change in 1992 and reinvent myself, and I was vulnerable because I told my staff I'm going to be vulnerable. I want to have a new purpose in life, a new passion in my life, and I want to be a better servant to the people I serve and the people I work with. And I chose world-class mentors. They didn't know me, and I thought I loved the way they had prestige. They had respect. They seemed to be tireless individuals that are in it for the good of the all. And I said, I want to model myself after you. Would you take me on? They could have said no very easily, but they saw something, a spark and a desire and a relentless pursuit of this. And I'm glad they did. And now they recognize me as an equal. And I'll never forget that. It was very humbling. And now it's my time in my legacy years is to give back as much as I can to whomever I can, whether expanded function auxiliaries, teams, Ceramus, anybody in my time, so they can enjoy the journey as much as I have. Otherwise, you don't have a light that's shining and attracting individuals around there. And those are the people that get tired of dentistry and they want to move on.
Yeah. You're right, Frank. If nobody's home, nobody wants to be around them. Nobody wants to be around you anyway.
No.
Frank, I'll tell you what, in the dental world, or just, forget dentistry, just healthcare or business, whatever industry, outside of dentistry you want to talk about, the word being vulnerable is not something that comes up in conversation, and it's not something anybody does, because it means, it's a little bit of a weakness to be able to admit that I need some help in some areas. But actually for you and the dental team, that shows a lot of courage.
It took a lot of courage because as a dentist, we do not like to be vulnerable. We don't like to be criticized. We're not confrontational. We're dentists. And I got that. I used to be a dentist. And it was my own personal decision to do this. And it was the best decision to do at the same time. And others can try it in small baby steps. We're not learning to reinvent the wheel, but maybe tweak it a little bit. And maybe I think that's a great start, because then it continues on and it continues on. That's why I've had staff over 40 years.
Yeah.
And that's why they drive 30 plus miles to come to work. They could go someplace closer. They choose to stay where they're valued and appreciated.
Amen.
Definitely. Well, Frank, thanks so much for joining us today and sharing your knowledge and your experience with us and our audience. For those of you listening, if you'd like to connect with Dr. Frank, look at the show notes below this episode, and there will be a link to his website. His web address is milnermentoring.com, milnarmentoring.com. Thanks for watching. If you enjoyed this episode, please like it, subscribe, and share. We'll talk to you soon. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thanks for listening to the Dental Business Excellence Podcast. Be sure to subscribe on YouTube, Apple, Spotify, or wherever you listen to podcasts so you don't miss the next episode. While you are there, leave us a rating and review to help us spread the word about the show.